Welcome back to Inside Boxing's Throwdown. My name is Steve Johnson, my co-host Aurelio Martinez. In segment 2, we're going to touch briefly on a few subjects. We're going to start off with this weekend's fight, July 11th, where we talk about Hammer and Hank Lundy taking on Mauricio Herrera, where, in my opinion, Aurelio, somebody has to win. But I'll let you talk about that. Start off.
Yeah, this fight is so exciting. We forgot to talk about it in our first segment when we were talking about upcoming fights. But anyhow, it is what it is, and it's happening this weekend. So I got Hammer and Hank Lundy, and you got Mauricio Herrera. Now, Mauricio has always been the gatekeeper. You know, he's been the guy that's always been there to see if you're going to pass to the next level. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, Hammer and Hank's kind of been trying to pass that next level for quite some time now, and he just hasn't been able to jump over that hurdle. So I'm going to venture out and saying if Hammer and Hank Lundy doesn't not beat Mauricio Herrera, the gatekeeper, this weekend, then he will now carry that status of gatekeeper, and he might as well go out and make money by being the gatekeeper, just like your Herrera's doing, all the other boxers that you know are not going to become world champions, but they're going to be there to test the new up-and-coming pick-and-choose boxers that come up in the professional rankings. So this is big for Hank. This is big for Hammer and Hank. This is a lot bigger for him than it is for Mauricio, because Mauricio already has taken his role. He knows what he's going to do. He's going to come in and upset anybody that gets in front of him. Mm-hmm. And that's his job. His job is to upset, and that's what he's going to be doing. Hammer and Hank has to look at it a whole different way, is if I'm going to still be able to go up and vie for a world champion or become a world champion, I need to pass this test.
I don't think there's any way Mauricio Herrera loses this fight. I don't think there's any way. Hank Lundy, you remember back in January, he had that fight with Peter Petrov where he's dropping down in weight and he couldn't make weight. I mean, it was an ESPN Friday night fight, main event fight, that he couldn't make weight, so they had to cancel the fight. I think that's you can look at it good or bad. He had to come down to weight he couldn't make. It was 135. Mm-hmm. He came in at 139. There's no way he was going to make it, so they had to cancel the fight. Mauricio, that last fight that I think we all are pretty much in agreement that he beat Danny Garcia over there in Puerto Rico, and they took that fight away from him. I think he's on a mission, and I think he looks at he's going to look at Hank Lundy as just a thorn in his side, and he's going to get rid of this thorn. He's going to snatch him out. Hank Lundy, in his last few fights, he's been running his mouth, all that stuff. I'm from Philadelphia and all this. Hey, man, I expect not only Mauricio, I'm telling you right now, Mauricio's going to stop him. He's going to stop Hank Lundy, and he's going to start once again. He's going to start putting that on that in at the 140 pound weight division, at the light welterweight, that he's looking forward to calling people out.
That's interesting. How old is Collazo? Do you know?
He's got to be in his mid-30s.
Okay, so I mean, if he does what you say and he comes out of victorious in this fight.
Wait a minute, you talking about Collazo?
Collazo.
Okay, if Collazo beats Keith Thurman?
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay. Let's go. We're talking about Mauricio Herrera.
Mauricio Herrera. How old is Mauricio Herrera? Let's back up a little bit.
He's got to be 30-ish.
Okay, so
29, 30.
So if he beats a Hammer and Hank, does he have a shot to advance? I mean, get away from that gatekeeper status? Can he move a notch up and get into an actual contender status?
I believe so. Like I said, I think that he's Mauricio is a proverbial gatekeeper. Nobody really wants to see him. Yeah. Okay, you really don't want to see him, and that's why I said I think this fight with Hank Lundy, with the troubles that Hank has, I think that this is just a way of Mauricio saying, hey, this guy's running his mouth a little bit. I'll show you. I'm way above him.
Well, good.
Knock him off and get ready to move on.
Well, you make that interesting, so I may have to sit down and watch that fight. So,
you're gonna have to watch that fight
because I certainly will.
You remember now you cracking on my boys, because you guys remember last week, where Radio laughed at some of the contenders that I liked up and coming. But you remember when Thomas Delorme knocked off Hank Lundy, okay, with that split decision where Tomas just barely literally hung on to get the win.
I remember.
Then Tomas just got destroyed in his last fight. Okay, so I just think that there's no question to me. Mauricio stops Hank Lundy.
Well, good. Okay, that's this weekend's fight. Let's
move on. Let's move on to something that I know that you're anxious to get at. But it looks like sometime today, it might have already happened. Well, sometime today, Floyd Mayweather's going to be stripped of that WBO welterweight title, and that's only just because he refused to pay the sanctioning fee. But let me say this: if you remember that after the fight with Manny Pacquiao, one of the first things Floyd said is that I'm going to just start letting some of these belts go, give some of these younger guys a chance to have a belt. I don't know if that's it or not. You know, he let it be known years ago he didn't care too much for these belts paying these sanctioning fees. But the fact that they'll let that go. Who do you see, looking at that WBO welterweight belt?
Heck, I don't know. I mean, it can be almost anyone. It can be anyone. But like I say, when you get to a high priced fight like Floyd, I can't blame him for not paying the sanctioning fees because they take a percentage.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like they take a set fee. Like they say, okay, to sanction this bout for the WBO or the WBC or the IBF or whoever it may be, your sanctioning fee is going to be $5,000.
But this is the WBO belt, Aurelio. Do you see him saying that same thing about that WBC belt? The WBC gave him, remember after him.
Well, he said it before. I'm not paying the sanctioning.
That WBC gave him that $1 million belt. Oh, remember that?
Well, I do.
So do you see
but we're talking about sanctioning fees.
Well, the WBC belt. Do you see him be in the same situation? This is the WBO belt, really. Okay.
See, but I'm talking sanctioning fees.
Okay.
If I make $1 million, why should I pay a percentage to get a sanction when the sanctioning fee should be a set fee, whether it's a lower fight,
right,
or whether it's a high profile fight,
right?
I mean, why do they get a percentage versus a set sanctioning fee? That's my problem with the sanctioning organizations.
I would agree. I would agree.
So I don't have a problem. The problem he has to worry about is if he signed on the dotted line for it to be a sanctioned WBO title fight, and if he signed an agreement, then he's probably bound by that agreement. So there we go again. We get into these legal confrontations where you can't just sign something and then change your mind after the fact. So
well, it looks like no matter what, that Floyd is pretty much resigned to the fact he hasn't said anything along the lines of I'm going to talk to them at all or whatever. About the belt.
He's just not going to pay.
Yeah, he's just done with it. And like I said, he said that after the Pacquiao fight, he wasn't really too concerned about these belts, so he'll let them.
But see, my only problem is you do that before, not after.
That's true.
So you do before. Okay, this fight's not going to be for the WBO title because I'm not going to pay them a sanctioning fight. So, because no one really cared if it was for a WBO title or if it wasn't. That the people were there to watch the fight. So, there again. I don't know if he signed an agreement or if he didn't sign an agreement. But if he didn't sign an agreement, then he had nothing to worry about. It's nothing. It's all gossip.
One point you talked about, signing agreements and all gossip. Let's talk a little bit about this situation going on now with Al Heyman.
Okay, well, we'll pick that up. We got a minute left in this segment.
Well,
we'll come on, start out fresh. But let's lead them into let's lead everybody into the next segment, because in the next segment we do want to talk about the huge lawsuits. I mean, Al Heyman
hold on. Now you're getting into that. You said we weren't going to. So go back.
But I'm talking about this is big.
Yes, it is.
It's a big boxing. Now you got the giants. You got the giants that are in there.
Top ranked Golden Boy.
Power struggles.
Yes.
The power, and who's going to come out on top.
We're going into it right now.
But anyway. We're gonna go ahead and leave you with that, and we're gonna come back to this segment because I'll tell you what, we want to get into this subject. So we're gonna start you fresh. Go out and get you a nice cup of coffee, put the newspaper down, and get ready to click on the next segment. Can I say one thing
too? This next segment we're gonna talk mainly about, like you said, the Al Heyman situation with Top Rank and Golden Boy, but some things are coming up. I don't want us to forget about the Malignaggi and Danny Garcia fight.
Oh, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about everyone that's begging.
Leo Santa Cruz.
The beggars for the Mayweather lottery. Yes. All that good stuff.
So, we got a lot of stuff to talk about.
Come back to the next segment. And until then, keep them babies' hands up.
Keep them babies' hands up.